Hi guys, it's Mr. Berry, and today we're going to be talking about cells. So let's start with the cell theory. Every living thing is made up of cells. Cells are the basic unit of living things, meaning that all things that are alive have cells in them. All cells are made up of old cells during cell division, which we talked about last week. That's where cells go through the M phase, which is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and then cytokinesis, and that's how you get two new cells. There are two categories of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Both types of cells are able to reproduce and have DNA as their genetic material. They also have this gel-like substance called the cytoplasm, which holds all the organelles together or have them suspended in the cell. And they also have ribosomes, which makes proteins. So that's why these two cells, all cells are considered living, whether they're prokaryotic or eukaryotic, because they have these things. They have DNA, they have a cytoplasm, and they have ribosomes to make proteins. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes, they do have some differences though. They differ in size, complexity, shape of their DNA, and organelles. Organelles are the small organs of the cell that serve specialized functions, and we're going to see that on the next two slides. So this is a prokaryotic cell. As you can see, it's not very organized. The DNA is just kind of thrown in there. It's not inside of a nucleus. The ribosomes are just kind of floating in there as well. You see the shape. These are typically bacteria. They're very small in size. They're very simple. They're not complex at all. The shape of DNA is pretty circular, which is this red thing right here. It's kind of a big mess right there. And as far as organelles go, there's no nucleus in prokaryotic cells. And an example of a prokaryotic cell will be a bacteria. Eukaryotic cells are a lot more organized. If you look here at this image, you see there's a nucleus, there's a vacuole, there are lysosomes, there's a mitochondria, you have Golgi apparatus or the Golgi complex, you have endoplasmic reticulum. So a lot more going on there inside the eukaryotic cells. These cells are typically larger than prokaryotic. They're much more complex, as you can see. The shape of the DNA is linear. Organelles, it definitely has a nucleus. That's the main one. That's the hub of a eukaryotic cell, but it has other organelles in there as well. And examples of that of a eukaryotic would be plant and animal cells. So the endosymbiotic theory, according to the endosymbiotic theory, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells are linked evolutionarily, meaning that they are related to each other. They have a common ancestor. Prokaryotic cells came first, and prokaryotic cells were engulfed or taken in through a process known as endocytosis into another prokaryotic cell. And then that evolved into a mitochondria and into chloroplast. And the reason we know this is because, unlike other organelles, the mitochondria and the chloroplast have their own DNA and they can replicate on their own. And they also have membranes around them. And that's something that we don't see with any other organelles. Right? So important eukaryotic organelles. Obviously, the most important eukaryotic one is the nucleus. It contains the DNA, which is the genetic information. The mitochondria makes ATP for the cell. ATP is energy. Lysosomes, they clean up. They're like the trash cans or the recycling bins of the cells. They clean up the cellular waste, and they contain enzymes. Vacuoles, they store water, food, and waste, and these are huge inside of plants because plants need to have a lot of water, much more water than animal cells need. So naturally, the vacuole would be much larger inside of plant cells. Ribosomes, those are where proteins are made. You guys remember this from the transcription, translation, the central dogma theory. Translation is very important with the ribosomes because that's where proteins are made, which we know where our traits come from. Chloroplast performs photosynthesis in plants, fungi, and protists. Animal cells do not have a chloroplast. We don't need one. We don't go through photosynthesis. We don't make our own food. But chloroplast, you will see a lot of those inside of plant cells as well. And then finally, the cell membrane control what enters and exits the cell. And it's almost like that fence or that gate around the cell, and it regulates what comes in and out. And you guys remember this from cell transport when we talked about that earlier in the year and how crucial the cell membrane is in keeping homeostasis within the cell. And you can see a lot of those organelles, they're listed here on this image. So now let's compare plant and animal cells. Plant and animal cells are both eukaryotic cells, but they're different in many ways. Plant cells are rectangular typically, just like this one is right here, and they have a cell wall and a chloroplast. So the cell wall is very important because it provides shape and structure. It allows the plant cell to have that rectangular structure and shape. In contrast, animal cells do not have a cell wall or a chloroplast. We don't need them. Plant cells also have a very big central vacuole. Look how large this vacuole is here. It's huge, it's ginormous. And we know that plants need that because they need to be able to store a great deal of water. We don't need to store as much water as plant cells. Animal cells are round shaped, and we have centrioles, which helps with mitosis. So as you can see right here, it's circular. We don't have a cell wall. We're lacking some of the things that the plant cell has. All right, so here's your top 10. We've bolded or outlined some of the words that are very important and that are key to help you with your annotations. Make sure you guys look at these videos or this video to help you study for your quiz on Friday.